Hi, and welcome back to Inspired Alchemy with Lizzie. This is episode 45. And today, because it seems to have been a theme in conversation, I'm going to talk about what I do as a facilitator, why I do what I do, the way that I do it, and I'm pretty sure there'll be some other things thrown in there. So, I know that I've mentioned this before as to why I'm on this journey and why I started it. I've always been a little weirdo. I've always been attracted to the darkness. I've always been attracted to all kinds of weird things like aliens and monsters and all of that. Like, honestly, I was a little kid, and most little kids are scared of vampires, right? Right. So, not me. I would lay there and I would pull the covers down, being like, oh, come get me. Um, and I was little. So I've always been very deeply in love and passionate with anything that's shadow, anything that is growth oriented. I, not that I wasn't popular, a lot of people knew me. As a little kid growing up, everybody loved me. But then, like I've said before, I would become too much, or I would ask really weird questions, or questions that weren't appropriate for my age, especially when I was growing up in the 80s. And so I learned to turn all of that stuff off. And while I kept my little weirdness and I loved all of that stuff, I turned it off for a long time. And then I got into middle school and I started to meet the people that were into the dark stuff again. And then I met somebody who actually had my name when I was in one of the high schools that I went to, and she opened up all of this new stuff for me. And I was like, okay, well, I can do this. And then I got involved in all kinds of other things. And then again, I turned it off and suppressed some of it for a while. And because I was told it was too much and whatever it is that society likes to tell you that you're wrong for liking these things, all of that. And so every time that I would do that and every time that I would suppress myself, I would go into just this mode of not feeling great, feeling disassociated, hopeless. And I'm not saying I was depressed all the time because that wasn't the case. It was more like I was disconnected, detached from who I actually am. So then my daughter was born, and she, for a little while, I kind of said, oh, I can't be this kind of parent, right? Where I can't like the dark stuff and all that. And then one day I woke up and I'm like, what am I doing? This is the worst thing ever. Because even back then, I knew that me not being in an alignment and me not following who I am was ultimately going to be a problem for my daughter. And so she started telling me all of these magical stories. She is the most magical human that I have ever met. And I don't just say that because she's my kid. She's literally the best. Okay. And so she started to open up all of this stuff inside of me. And I've talked about this before. And I was like, okay, something needs to change. And as I started to really deep dive into this work, every time that I would want to give up, something would pull me back in and go, no, 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 you have to stay aligned. And her stories kept that going. And then people that I would meet kept that going. And now we see where I'm at. And this is all important in the way that I work. My goal is what I try to do with my daughter, what I try to do with anybody that I come in contact with, not just clients, but even people who are friends and family. I want to show them what it's like to be embodied, what it's like to be empowered, and what it's like to step into your authenticity and your sovereignty. And sometimes that can be really challenging because the mirrors that have been held up for us by society make us feel like if we do this thing, if we go into the darkness, if we go into the shadows, if we start doing all of these things that are deemed weird or inappropriate, no matter what it is, then something is wrong with us. When in actuality, the more that you dive into your authenticity, the more aligned you become. And then you really realize when things are not aligned. So when I am working with people, I don't give answers. I don't have the right answers for everybody. And so I teach you how to find those answers for yourself, because things that might work for me might not work for you. For example, let's say I do breath work. Let's say you're just at the start of your journey. I'm not going to tell you to go straight into breath work. It's not going to happen, because there is an element of safety that needs to be within you in order to do this kind of stuff. And breath work is absolutely amazing. I do it often. But there's also a safety element for me. I need to make sure that the people around me are doing things in a safe manner, where your nervous system feels safe and where your body feels safe. And there is a moment in time where you can go over that. And so we pull back. In my sessions, and this is kind of, I know this is really weird to say, but it's really weird to talk about, because sessions just kind of happen. And so I go through cord and contract removal. I go through energetic flow, visualizations. I don't really do affirmations, but I guess that some of the things that I say could be interpreted as affirmations, but also do kind of like emotional, I don't want to say purging, because it's not always purging, but there's an emotional intelligence aspect, there's a personal development aspect. We mix all of these things together magically and like a little energy cauldron, and we try to pull out what's going to be best for the person. What's going to be safest? Is this person moving really fast? Is this person moving really slow? And there's a thing called proxy, where when I really connect in to the energy of the person that I'm working with, I can feel what's going on in there. And so intuitively, I know how to kind of move things. At the same time, the most important thing for me is that each time somebody leaves a session with me, I want them to feel empowered. I want them to feel like they can go, yeah, I could do this. My goal is to always give you the tools and things that you need to have different awarenesses come in. So if you have an awareness and you're like, oh yeah, I have this tool that I can use with it, that's an empowering situation. And I said this morning to somebody, this is probably a bad business move, but I don't want people to become dependent upon me. That's not what I want. That's not what I'm here for. That's not what my purpose is. My purpose is to show you that you are perfectly capable and magical. And when I say magic, yes, we can all do this work. It depends on how deep you're willing to go and how deep you're willing to look into yourself and the mirror that you're willing to like look into to do this work. But everybody is able to do it. It's just what are you deciding and how deep are you deciding to go? There's no judgment there. It's just, it is what it is, and we can only go so deep sometimes. So again, my goal is to empower people, not keep them dependent upon me. I don't want that. So if somebody works with me for a couple of months, great. If they decide they want to go for a couple of years, great. Ultimately, my goal is to give you the tools that you can use to bring into your life so that you can do this work. And then let's say you need to come back to me. Great. You're stuck on something. I get stuck on things. I have facilitators. I don't know what's going on most of the time because I'm moving so quickly. So yes, I need guides myself. And if there are people who tell you that they don't need help or they don't need guides and that they're gurus and that they know everything already, it's kind of a red flag, because we're all in this to give codes and keys to one another. And unless you're an enlightened monk, we all have work to do within ourselves. And none of us are perfect. None of us have reached enlightenment. in quotation marks. Okay? So I will never pretend to know everything. I will never pretend to be for everybody because that is not the case. And I will never say that only I can help you because that's not the case either. I'm not going to be the facilitator for everybody, and that's okay. And I'm hoping this episode will also show you the red flags in other people so that, again, safety is my biggest thing. Every time I work with somebody, it's going to be different. Sometimes we're going to have to go back a couple of steps. Sometimes we're going to have to speed forward. I try to feel into the energy before that session is going to happen or before I'm going to talk to said person and see what is needed. There are check-ins, there's aftercare, there's all of these things. And making sure that that person feels safe and held and seen, but also empowered to where they can take those tools and move forward, whether it's emotional anchoring or whatever the tool is at the time that I feel will be of use to the person. I will also never suggest, unless it is backed up by other people, I will never suggest something I haven't done. Period. I can give you the science as to why it's good, but I will never give you my opinion upon it, or I will never give you my opinion on it if I have not done it myself. Breath work, I can give you my opinion. It's life-changing because I do it often. Energy work, I can give you my opinion. I do it every single day. Cold plunge, can't. The coldest I've ever gone is my shower on the coldest setting. I haven't done a cold plunge yet. Floats, I hear great things about them. I'm not going to be like, yeah, you have to go and do this because I've never done a float, even though I would like to. These are all things that I have on my list of things to do. So that's how I work personally. This is not a scary thing. It can feel very daunting and it can feel very scary because it's like, oh, the darkness and all of that stuff. But the darkness is where we find our light. And the darkness is just this beautiful place where you can just sit and be. It doesn't have to be scary. We were all taught to fear the dark, and it's also evolutionary, obviously, because, in the dark, when we're sleeping, things happen and when we were cavemen, stuff like that. But in terms of alchemical work, it doesn't have to be scary, and you don't have to deep dive right away. It can be, and I'm not just saying with me, any facilitator that you choose. It doesn't have to be a deep dive at the beginning. You just have to know that you're going to have to be uncomfortable sometimes, and you're going to have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable because this work is work. But it can also be fun, and it can also be play, and it can also be pleasurable, and it can also be magical, and all of these different things. And sessions, in my opinion, are not a one-size-fits all. It's going to change from person to person. It's going to change, even with a particular person, it will change in each phase of life that they're in. Like I said, if we need to go forward, we go forward. If we need to go backward, we go backward. It's not going to always be the same. Everybody has different life stressors at different times, dealing with illness, whatever it is. So if you have to take a couple steps back, it's okay. We don't grow at the same rate. And so just know it's okay if that happens. Also, I want to reiterate this, and I was reminded of it too. Rest, and I've said this before, and I have episodes on it. Rest is not a reward. Rest is a necessity. If you consistently keep yourself busy, you don't have time for integration and rest. And while staying busy sometimes when you're in the flow and all of that is really good, when we start to push past that level, we exhaust ourselves. And so again, rest is not a reward. Rest is a necessity. Also, while you're going through this work, you're going to notice that as you become more empowered, more authentic, you will have people more magnetized to you, and then you will have other people fall away. It's just part of it. And things will feel like chaos sometimes, but then there are also very, very beautiful things even within that chaos. And that's pretty much how I work. And I have a very different way of thinking um, when it comes to certain things. And again, the reason that I started this work was for my daughter. I told my daughter, or I told myself, I am not brave enough to do this on my own. And so I'm going to do it for her. She's going to need it. She deserves it. And as I have moved forward, it wasn't just her that deserved it. I deserve this work. I deserve to feel free and embodied and more like me than I ever have, and to find these pieces of myself. Does guilt still sink in sometimes of like, oh my God, I could be doing something better, or I feel bad for like spending this time on myself? Yes, that absolutely sinks in. And sometimes, especially if you're a parent or you have been a people pleaser your whole life, taking care of yourself can feel bad and it can feel like guilt. And there is some grief that comes along with all of this as you're moving through it. But my daughter deserves a mom that can show up as herself fully, that doesn't pass on things through the generations for my daughter to have to carry for me. That's not her job. Her job is for what she came here for. Whatever that is, it's for her to live her life the most authentically she can for her journey. It's not her job to filter for me. So that's why I do this work. This is why I work in alchemy. This is why I work in the shadows. I feel the most comfortable in these places, and I have a passion for it. And that's kind of why I do what I do. And that's kind of how I work. And I felt like that's what needed to be talked about today, since I've had this conversation with multiple people in the past 2 days. Again, my job is not for you to become codependent on me. My job is to show you your power and to show you your magic and to show you how capable you are so that you can continue to move forward with or without my help. So, yes, that is my episode for today. I am very passionate about these things. I love them very much. It's a very different kind of episode, but again, I felt that it was necessary because I have had these conversations a couple of times, twice today. And I want to remind you that you're not broken. Society would like you to believe that you are broken and that they can fix you. But if we look at society as a whole, that's not the case. And so follow your own passions. Follow what your weird little soul loves and find your pieces. You're not broken. You are just unbecoming everything that you were told that you were to become everything that you were meant to be. And there's no shame or judgment in any of that. And the more you do this work, the more you'll see that it doesn't matter what anybody thinks of you. And really, none of us know what we're doing. We're just doing the best we can. And some of us are serving our little hearts out, even though we still are trying to figure it out ourselves. So if you want more talks on this, or you want a community that can support you, we have the Inspired Alchemy Collective on Facebook. It's a private Facebook group, and we're gearing up for spooky season. I'm working on monthly meetups, and if you're looking for a tarot reading or mediumship, things like that, Aliza would be happy to help you with that. And you can follow her on Aliza's tarot page on Instagram. and on Facebook. And then we also have our business page on Facebook, which is Inspired Alchemy, where you can see updates and stuff. And you can also go to the website to get updates and that kind of thing. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for spending your time with me. I don't take that lightly. Time is a precious resource that we cannot get back. And yeah, just thank you for the support. I appreciate each and every one of you that show up here. And this is Inspired Perpetual Alchemy. Keep going, alchemists. You've got this.